Hello everyone. I hope you all are doing very well. In the previous lecture, we have discussed about the major differences between probabilistic sampling and non-probabilistic sampling, right? The basis on which we have divided the sampling method we have discussed, right? That why it is called as probabilistic sampling and why it is called as non-probabilistic sampling. Now here in this session, we are going to cover about probabilistic sampling methods. That is the first one, simple random sampling, then clustered sampling, then systematic sampling, and then stratified sampling, right? So let's start. So if I talk about simple random sampling, in this method, each member of the population has an equal chance of being selected. Random sampling helps to ensure that the sample is representative of the population and reduce bias. So let's say we are having a large population here, right? Let's say we are having a large population set. Let's say it is a 10,000 people group. And out of this 10,000 people group, I need to select 1000 peoples. I need to select 1000 peoples. So the method is that we are going to select randomly. We are going to select 1000 peoples randomly. It means that we are going to use, let's say, random number generating algorithm. We can use like random number generating algorithm. We can assign numbering to each people, right? And thereafter we can use random number generating algorithm, and with the help of that we can just figure out 1000 people, right? So the chances of selection of each and every member is equal here. That is why it is likely to be said that it is not having any kind of bias in selection. One more thing is that it is also called as representative sampling. It is also called as representative sampling. The reason behind it is because the data set, the population set is very larger. The population set is very, very larger. And we are representing this larger population set. We are representing this larger population set with the smallest population set. So it is a kind of representation of this large population set. That is why it is called as representative sampling. The next method is clustered sampling. The next method is clustered sampling. So in clustered sampling, the population is divided into clusters or some kind of groups like schools, hospitals, geographical areas, and a random selection of clusters is made. Then all the individuals within the selected clusters are included in the sample. Cluster sampling is useful when it is difficult to create a comprehensive sampling frame for the population. So let's say if I want to do some research study on a restaurant chain, right? So let's say if our research study is based on some kind of a restaurant chain, and that restaurant chain is, let's say, it is widely spread out in the 500 cities. So what we can do, we do not need to visit each and every city. I am going to clusters the set of cities, like let's say some 50 cities, or we can make clusters according to our own choice. So let's say I am making 25 cities group, thereafter next 25 cities group, thereafter next 25 cities group, and so on. We can make total, we can divide all the 500 cities into the group of 25 cities, and randomly we can take samples like randomly. The chances here also selection of any cluster is equal because we are using probabilistic method. So we can choose one, two, or any random. Randomly, we can choose some set of some clusters of cities, right? So let's say this can be the chance, this can have the chance, this can have the chance, right? So randomly we can select. So let's say out of this we have selected clusters of 5. We have chosen 5 clusters. Let's say 25, 25, 25, 25, and 25. They all are clusters of different cities out of this 500 cities, and we can just ask our questions or whatever research study is all about, that the quality of food or the satisfaction of the customers, like that, right? And we can just make the inference on the basis of that. So what we are doing here, we are dividing the complete population in some kind of clusters, and thereafter we are choosing the clusters, right? So this kind of sampling method is called as clustered sampling. It is also probabilistic, and chances of selection of each and every city is equal, right? But what just we have done, we have just done it in the clustered way. Okay, the next one is systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, every nth individual is selected from a population after randomly selecting a starting point. So what does that mean? It means that, let's say, if I want to study the data of 1000 people and I need to contact them and ask some questions. So what I am going to do, let's say I need to select 100 students out of that. So what I am going to do, I am going to select every 10th element. I am going to select every 10th student, and I am going to call it, and I am going to just ask the set of questions for my research purpose, right? So every nth, how can we determine the value of n? Total total population size, total population size, and we can divide the total population size by the number required in our samples, number of samples required, right? So here 1000 people, we need 100 samples. So if you are going to divide, it would be like 10, right? So every 10th element, every 10th student we can select, and we can just ask the set of questionnaires, and we can do the study. So basically systematic study, whenever we are interested in taking the samples from a large population set, but we are there are methods. Basically it is also method, but systematic means every nth individual is selected for a sample. Such kind of method is called as systematic sampling. It can be in any case depending from problem to problem, but the basic idea is every nth individual is going to be selected. And the next one is stratified random sampling. So stratified random sampling is, this method involves dividing the population into distinct subgroups or strata based on certain characters, just like age, gender, occupation. Then individuals are randomly selected from each stratum in proportion to their representation in the population. So you can understand this example like, let's say we are having three bags, bag A, let's say we are having one more bag B, and let's say we are having one more bag, let's say bag C. And let's say bag A is having 100 bulbs, right? And bag B is having, let's say, 200 bulbs. And bag C is having, let's say, 300 bulbs, right? Now, my study is based on taking out the how much bulbs are quality bulbs, and if any bulbs is defective or not. So that is our study. So what we can do, in some kind of proportion, we can select the random samples. Like I can choose 10 bulbs from bag A. I can choose 20 bulbs from bag B, and I can choose 30 bulbs from bag C. From bag C, I can choose 30 bulbs. Barabar, right? Equal. So the thing is that here we have selected sample. The chances of selection of each and every bulb is equal here. Definitely, it is a probabilistic type of sampling, right? So don't confuse with that. The method is just like that. We are selecting the samples from different stratum. As I also need this bulb, it might be the case that these bulbs are having like yellow color bulbs. These bulbs may be of pink color bulb, this bulb may be of white color bulb, or any green color bulbs, right? So if my study is based on different characteristics from a large population, however, all are bulbs, all are in the categories of bulbs, but what I need certain bulbs like that, I need certain bulbs like that, and I need certain bulbs like that. So This is called as strata based on some characteristics. The characteristics here is the color of bulbs, right? So we can select in some proportion like 10 from this, 20 from this, 30 from this. So chances of selection of each and every bulb is equal in all the strata, right? So such kind of sampling method is called as stratified random sampling method. So let me try to revise that what we have done in this lecture. In this lecture, we have just discussed the probabilistic sampling method, where I have discussed about random sampling, clustered sampling, systematic sampling, and stratified sampling. In our next lecture, we are going to discuss about non-probabilistic sampling method, that is convenience sampling method, consecutive sampling method, quota sampling, judgmental sampling, and snowball sampling. This we are going to cover in our next lectures. And in our previous lectures, we have already discussed about on what basis they are categorized as a probabilistic and non-probabilistic. So I hope whatever content I am providing to all of you is clear to each and everyone. And if you are having any kind of doubt, confusion, query, feel free to ask, guys. Feel free to ask. Okay. Have a very nice day. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.